Greetings, friends. Reformed Stoic here, back with another video. So I just caught maybe 20 minutes to half an hour of Pearl Davies versus Andrew. I just knew his name, dude. This guy has only recently popped up on my radar. He's some sort of a influencer, Tradcuck kind of a guy. Andrew Wilson. And they were debating marriage in the West. Now, so I thought it would be a good time to talk about Tradcucks, because I definitely saw that Pearl was having trouble pulling the trigger. I'd even go as far as to make the claim, typical kind of Reformed Stoic claim, that debate is like cashing in on an op, where Pearl Davis is a black pill machine. I unfollowed her on Twitter because she's just like a broken record, spewing the same crap over and over and over again. How over it is for men and how you shouldn't be in relationships or get married. But, Andrew was asking her a question. What did men get back then that they don't get now in marriage? And Pearl couldn't come up with an answer to that. I mean, that almost made me think that she was throwing the debate. How about a submissive, more traditional wife from a more traditional time who's less likely to leave? Is that kind of like in the ballpark of a fair answer? Maybe something that Andrew would be able to try to attack, but I mean, the fact that Pearl couldn't even come up with that, I found pretty frustrating. And the chat was overwhelmingly in favor of Andrew, which I thought was a little bit suspicious. I mean, Pearl has a very large platform. I didn't really see many people in the chat taking her side. So I just wanted to give some of my thoughts on not so much the Tradcucks themselves, but the system that they represent and that they're trying to prop up, and a little bit of how I think the op kind of works. So I explained on stream the other day that as I become more comfortable with my Gnostic view and more confident that that's actually what I believe, I look back to the Freemasons of old, founding father times, and I see a society of Protestants in the United States who rebelled against the original church. Protestants are rebels, whether or not you agree with them. And the enlightened elite around the time of the Enlightenment, I mean, those are ultimately Enlightenment times. The Enlightenment elite, founding fathers, politicians who overwhelmingly made up Freemason lodges, discussed philosophy and esoteric occult things like Gnosticism. And it's safe to say that some of these higher degree Freemasons of old in Protestant founding father era United States had kind of more philosophical, deist, maybe even Gnostic type of worldviews. But they understood that it was good for society, but it was also arguably better for them. But what's good for them, what's good for the wealthy and the political elite, is for society to function well. Ultimately, when people are working hard and producing children, part of what they're doing is creating infrastructure and expanding society and keeping it flourishing. So people with the most capital can thrive in that society. So I'm saying that I think that maybe I am in agreement with the Freemasons of the founding father era United States, that the truth might be in line with something more philosophical and Gnostic, one could say. but it's better for society to stay in the dark, which ultimately results in the churches. And it's very common for Freemasons to attend Protestant churches. Because church is a beautiful thing, and it serves a great purpose. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's in line with the highest truth. Now, I'm just presenting that as an idea that I believe lately I'm leaning towards being in line with the truth. That it's not that the elite are like evil connivers, it's that these ideas, these philosophical and occult worldviews discussed in Freemason lodges are very likely more in line with the truth than what's being discussed at church. So why bring that up now in this video about Tradcucks? Because ultimately there's been a knowledge that church serves a purpose for society, and the elite on some level is correct. That church is serving this purpose to create families. And it worked well. It worked better. So here's where I think that we are today. I said this in a video that didn't make it to my channel. I made a video last night that didn't make it to my channel. Maybe even a couple of people caught that that video was supposed to premiere today, but I immediately took it down. I've just been like venting a lot and saying stuff that I later decide isn't really what I want on my channel, but I think what's going to be the key for this video making the cut is to just, it's not about bashing people who want to live traditional lives. It's respectable. It's good for society, regardless of whether or not, you know, the enlightened upper class elite in the Freemason lodges of old, because I believe that eventually Freemasons were subverted by something else. But regardless of whether or not they're correct, they understood that the church served a purpose. The elite has always known that the church serves a purpose for the common folk. So where we are today is that, well, what does the elite want? Do they want feminism and modern, liberated pantsuit women, or do they want traditional families? What's going to help you understand the truth of how this society and the establishment functions and the current mind of the philosopher kings and the hidden hand is that they want both. And I don't know if these claims, I'm pretty sure these claims have made it to my live streams a couple of times, but I don't know if it's made it to any of my videos. It would definitely fit right in with me saying that I might be embracing this more esoteric, spiritual, Gnostic, occult kind of worldview that the elite, they want... Okay, so I was almost losing my train of thought there, but I got it. These Tradcuck, I'm not trying to say Tradcuck is an insult, but everybody knows what it means. And some people are very, like, feeling that kind of way, like, Tradcuck. Like, some people definitely feel some type of way about these kind of people. And let's face it, they are Christian intellectual platforms like Andrew Wilson, who's totally wrecking Pearl Davis in that debate. First of all, men beat women in debates. That's just the way it is. I'm not trying to be mean. Second of all, I felt almost like Pearl was throwing the debate. And third of all, these are people who could be ops. And it's like, well, how can they both be ops? Because they represent opposite worldviews. Hegelian dialectic. And I believe that Pearl is like a walking, living, breathing black pill machine. And maybe her entire career was meant to lead up to this Crucible debate where she gets smacked down by based Andrew Wilson. It's like, heck yeah, let's all get back in the churches, guys. Now, there's nothing wrong with being in church. And again, in my view, look, the more time goes on, the more I'm like, hey, read my manifesto, The Subversive Gospel of Christ. Like, I stand behind it. I think it's aging like fine wine. In that manifesto, I tell you to go get confirmed as a Catholic. And if you want to continue attending a Catholic church, if you want to go to a different church, after you finish the process of getting confirmed, making sure you're baptized, and yeah, it's kind of LARPy, but it's respecting the Catholic Church as the original church and respecting the traditions of it. And if you would feel more comfortable doing it through Orthodoxy, that's fine as well. But I'm saying that, like, in my worldview, there's still benefit to going to church. It's just that there's a higher truth that's basically being kept from you. And when you're looking at, like, the leading intellectuals in internet Christianity, I am of the belief that you are looking at people who are in think tanks with government-affiliated, glowy-affiliated people. Sometimes themselves, they could be considered feds or government-employed people. And why is this? What is the goal of the Tradcuck intellectual? It's to get you to accept what's arguably a bad deal. Now let me present to you some of the things that Andrew said. He admitted to the statistic that 60% of marriages are likely to work under very specific circumstances. That's exactly what he said. 60% of marriages are shown statistically to have a very good chance of working under specific circumstances, like, you know, the guy's got his shit together. He didn't say the circumstances, but I'm imagining it's like the guy's got his shit together, the man and the woman don't come from broken homes. We're talking like upper middle class, maybe lower rich class, maybe like kind of more like well-to-do families raised in churches. He and she, well-to-do, upper middle class, lower high class families, not broken homes, private schools, raised in church, 60% chance of that marriage working out. What do you think, guys? Let's play a game where there's a 60% chance that you don't get your legs broken. There's a 60% chance that you live. There's a 60% chance that your life isn't ruined. You want to play? Little over half. How does that sound? Like, yeah, statistically, it's more likely. I mean, that would be one hell of a rush, right? Press this button, and there's a 60% chance that you don't get fucked up very badly. Whoa, that was one hell of a rush. Wow. But don't play again, because those are some rough odds, man. Now, it sucks because when you don't take the side of the Tradcuck, it's like you're the bad guy. It's like, oh, and then, you know, it's always like you're bitter and you're mad and you're a loser. And I don't want to piss on people's Cheerios, man, and I don't want to like attack people's dream, but I'm kind of just embracing what I am. I've always been anti-establishment. I've tried to run from it, but it's just been a part of my life my entire life. I was in the principal's office a lot as a kid for making fun of the songs in music class and trying to be a class clown, and I believe that I faced some early wrath from the establishment from one of my teachers. She put me in some shitty like special ed class, and it's not because there was anything wrong with me, it's because I talked too much in class. But that's what makes videos not end up on my channel when I talk too much about my past. I'm trying to not talk so much about my life anymore, you guys. I'm trying to offer you my ideas on the world because it's more professional, because it's just more of a real platform. You know, I don't want to like complain a bunch about my personal woes and whatnot. So I think we're faced with an op where you have people like, you know, Pearl Davies or Davis. I don't know if it's Davies or Davis for some reason. She isn't really like a black pill channel. She's not talking about negative cancel tilt and all that. But she is like this mainstream, high-level, kind of like black pill-ish channel. And I think maybe that she was meant to lose to this Andrew Wilson guy, who is a Tradcuck. Because there's a rise, guys. you know what's happening in society? People are going back to the churches. People want to get married again. People want to have families again. And everything's going to get heckin' based again. Look at Kanye. Look at Shiloh Hendrix. And people are watching this and going to be like, I see where you're going, bro. Like, you know, somebody in my chat was like, but are all psyops bad? I mean, okay, so maybe the CIA has created this where people are supposed to be traditional and get married again and have families again. And is that bad? I mean, maybe you are the bad guy, Stoic. Maybe, like, you really are observing these kind of, like, CIA ops, but maybe, like, those are our boys. And they're actually trying to make America great again. And, like, you're just being a fucking know-it-all. And you're the bad guy. The problem is, guys, is that Andrew pretty much glossed over the fact that marriage is worse for men than it's ever been. And feminism is not going to take a step back. Modernity is not going to compromise. It's not going to take a step back. The compromise is in the man. Because the solution of the Tradcuck is, I'm such a man, I'm so based, I'm so trad, I pray so hard, and I freaking eat my broccoli so hard, and I do everything right, and I'm college educated, and I'm such a great guy. I'm such a real man. There's so much virtue signaling about being a real man, and anybody who tries to speak against the Tradcucks, it's like, dude, you need to improve yourself. You don't even lift enough. Dude, like, you're not ready to talk to women unless you have a freaking, at least a 2-plate bench press and a 4-plate squat and a 5-plate deadlift. And it's like, oh, dude, well, are you educated? You don't deserve love if you're not. You don't deserve love if you don't have a high-paying career. Like, it's your fault that you're not rich. It's your fault that you're not buff. It's your fault that you're not all these things. Tradcucks are basically trying to say that, like what it all boils down to is that women aren't the problem, that you're the problem. And that's the bottom line, guys. Who is the problem in modern society? Is it that men are weaker than they've ever been? Or is it that men are demoralized because maybe many of them have put their best forward and they're realizing that they are living in a time where the American dream is crumbling and the quality of marriageable women is just not available like it was to boomers. That is what I believe is the goal of the glowy Tradcucks. I believe, you guys, that the churches are the establishment, and when you're trying to, like, embrace regular church, and then you're also like, oh, those guys are feds, and those guys are demoralization chills, and, like, it just doesn't work. Like, church is not an anti-establishment view. Not that, like, being anti-establishment is the end-all, be-all. I wish that the establishment was something that I could get on board with. And in some ways, I do. You know, I don't think that, like, the CIA is just completely top to bottom evil, and it's like, meanwhile, at the CIA headquarters, and there's, like, lightning, and like, yes, how do we ruin the world today? Like, that's, you know, that's not necessarily how it is. And I definitely respect the boys in blue when it comes to, you know, taking care of the interests and the safety of the American people. But when it comes to the Tradcuck psyop, which I'm basically putting my chips in and saying, yeah, I think it's a psyop. I think the mass return to the churches and the Templar memes and the, yeah, day is full, I'm so heckin' based, dude, I deadlift 4 plates and I have a really fashy haircut and Kanye's heckin' based and see you guys at church because I'm going to find a based waifu. Like, dude, it's just, I wish that it was a good deal. I wish that that was the reality, and I could be wrong. And, you know, maybe I'll see things differently down the line. But this is based off of the debate between Pearl Davis and Andrew Wilson Pearl Davis was either throwing the debate or she was just, I don't want to say being a woman, that wouldn't be allowed, so I'm not going to say that. But maybe consider a world where I thought about saying that, because maybe that would have been a reasonable thing to say. She was either, I would never say being a woman, or she was throwing the debate, or she was just heckin' dangled losing fair and square. But Andrew, put all his chips on the table with what did men get in the past with marriage that they're not getting now? And my answer to that question would be a submissive wife who was way less likely to leave. And in a society, it's not women's fault that they have to work now, for the most part, but a society that enabled women to be stay-at-home mothers in a more traditional time where they could produce more children, and your children had a better shot of having a better upbringing. But it's not really about the quality of the children's lives, you guys. It's about the quality of your life. And the bottom line of marriage is that MGTOW was right. And it's why MGTOW was attacked and chased off of the internet. And it's why it was replaced with the incel psyop. It's why it was replaced with the black pill psyop. Oh, men sent their own way. You know who says that a lot, guys? Really sketchy black pill channels that I was very, very, very suspicious of like who they were working for or what their motive was. MGTOW is the real deal. And it didn't start with men who were sent their own way. It started with men who were married and got divorced. Now, a lot of men who you could argue were sent their own way are more in line with black pill or incels. They kind of co-opted the movement. But I believe that the incel psyop was a response and an attack on MGTOW, which was already being attacked and pushed off of YouTube. The MRA, men's rights movement, was making very accurate observations about how modern marriage is a bad deal for men. Has that changed? No. Is it going to change? No. And these Tradcuck, let's all get back to the churches and dress up like Templars and be heckin' based Christian influencers, they are saying that you can just chad your way out of it. You can, well, I can deadlift 4 plates for 10 reps now, and I'm just so heckin' trad and based that there's no way a woman would ever divorce me. And I'm going to leave it up to you whether or not you believe that. And does that mean I think you should never get married? The way I see it, guys, is that it goes back to my video about unconditional love. I'm looking for the real deal. I'm looking for like something special if I'm going to keep a girl around. Because I'm just going to be honest, man. Like, I'm trying to get it in. And I'm probably going to be catching some bodies along the way. And I don't mean murder. And if that's all there is, then, I'm going to do that a little bit. Make up for some lost time. And then probably just fucking go monk mode and try to develop superpowers and see if I can like learn to fly or some shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to discourage men. I think that if you were raised in the church and you got some things going for you, like you're not from a broken home, you didn't go to a private or a public school, and if you're a Chad in a public school, it probably doesn't matter that much. But I think people who are raised in the church have the best shot. But the thing that I'm addressing is like guys like me who you grew up watching Comedy Central, you were a latchkey kid, you kind of had a broken home, you went to a public school, you weren't Chad, and you kind of got memed into just like being this kind of like modernist, neckbeardy atheist, because that was kind of the default for 90s kids. And you had like really bad experiences, and then by the time you're getting red pilled or whatever, you're like 26. And then you find Christ at like 26, 27, and then, you know, it takes you a while to kind of get things going. But so then you get to where you're like, at earliest, you're mid-20s, at latest, you're early 30s. And you're like, okay, I'm a Christian now. I'm going to go to church, and I'm going to get married. You can give it a shot. It's worth a shot. I've always told people, like, go try real churches. Get out of your internet cult, which is probably a limited hangout honeypot, and get into a church in the real world and meet people, and you just see what you find for yourself, man. Because I don't want to sell you guys anything. But the bottom line, the point of this video, which I tried to just not make it negative and black-pilled, is that the end game of the Tradcuck influencers is get married. We don't have an answer for the problems with modern marriage and modern women. If you get divorced, it's your fault. Victim blaming is one of the main cards of the Tradcuck, and there's not enough plates on your deadlift. You're not heckin' based enough. You didn't take enough showers. You're not educated enough. Men should be able to provide. It's always your problem. And you should just be able to keep self-improving until a woman will be so dominated by you that she'll never leave you. When the reality, guys, is your best bet to dominate a woman like that is to be Chad. I'm just presenting you with the reality. We're thinkers here. We're philosophers. I get that a lot of men want to have families. I kind of believe in fate. I believe that maybe some of you guys are on a similar path to me, where you're meant to learn higher truths, where you're meant to be more of an observer, gathering wisdom. And if you ever do fall in love, it will be very deep and pure, and it will be a woman worthy of reasoning with, like, hey, I don't want to sign a marriage contract because it's bullshit, or hey, I want to have kids with you, but I want to do it this way, not the church's way, not your aunt and uncle and your mom and dads and everybody at the church's way. I want to do it my way, our way, because a woman that you want to cohabitate with will be a worthy partner. And then, you know, Tradcucks, and again, not trying to be facetious by saying that, we just all know what that means. Tradcucks will say, well, that's what I'm saying too, I'm not saying to just jump into some horrible marriage. But Andrew Wilson admitted 60% chance under very specific circumstances that your marriage works out. Are there problems there that, like, deadlifting 5 plates can't solve? Are there problems there that, like, dressing nice and having a degree and being a provider, it's like, I make the 6 figures, I took so many showers, and I'm only 5'9", but I'm sure looking dapper today. Are there problems there that you just can't make disappear? Because I would go as far as to say, guys, that you attract a woman by being this masculine, dominant figure. But signing that marriage contract is beta. It is. And a lot of men who would stomp all over that, I can think of one guy in particular in mind. He's like 6'7", and he's from a rich family, and he's rich, and he's successful, and he's famous. And a lot of you guys are just not going to have that going for you, bro. And you never know who's going to pop up on this girl's radar. And we are living in hypergamy. We are living in the modern world. Feminism is not going to take a step back. Are the feds feminists, or are the feds Tradcucks? It's like, it's both, dude. It's a compromise. They want people to get married and have families and produce. They want you back in the workplace. They want you back in the church. They want you back in society, but on their terms. So you're going to have to decide, is that what you want? So I think that this video is worthy of being posted on my channel. I'm going to try to get some content coming out this month, because I want to kind of like get the gears going again, because I'm releasing a book in June. So stay tuned for that. I appreciate your guys' support. God bless, and I'll see you for the next one. Peace out.